A French general stormed into the palace, dust on his boots, arrogance in his voice. He looked Ibrahim Traoré in the eye and said, "Africa belongs to France." But what happened next? It didn't just shake Europe. It ignited a fire across a continent and rewrote history in 24 hours. The hall was silent, not with peace, but with tension so thick even the guards stopped breathing. A French general stood tall, his medals glinting under the dim chandelier. Boots dusty from West African soil. Eyes burning with colonial pride. He didn't whisper. He didn't hesitate. He looked directly at Ibrahim Traoré and declared, "Africa belongs to France." The words didn't echo. They struck, like a whip cracking through history. For a moment, no one spoke. But Traoré, calm, composed, eyes sharp as flint, leaned forward. His reply? It wasn't loud, but it was final. "Then why do you look so afraid of losing it?" That single line didn't just silence the room. It triggered a ripple across parliaments, war rooms, and foreign ministries from Brussels to Washington. Because deep down, they knew. This wasn't just a young leader clapping back at a general. This was the rebirth of resistance. This was the ghost of Sankara rising in flesh. And this wasn't just Burkina Faso's fight anymore. It was a message to every African nation still kneeling under invisible chains. Globe showing Europe, Africa, France no longer owns the narrative. But how did it come to this? How did a young artillery captain, dismissed as just another rebel, rise to threaten the old world order? This isn't about politics. It's about defiance written in blood. It's about a revolution without permission. It's about a war, not fought with bullets, but with belief. And it started long before that meeting. With stories they tried to erase. With operations hidden behind foreign aid. With a generation that was told, "You can't." But Traoré, he didn't just say, "I can." He made the world watch as he did. Because some leaders win elections. Others wake up a sleeping continent. After Traoré's bold clapback to the French general, something shifted. Not just in Burkina Faso, but across embassies, across oil boardrooms, across military think tanks in Paris, London, and DC. Because for the first time in decades, someone wasn't asking to be free. He was acting like it, and that terrified them. You see, France never really left Africa. They changed uniforms. They changed contracts. But their grip? Still tight. Burkina Faso had always been one of the quieter pawns. Not anymore. The morning after that confrontation, French diplomats went into overdrive. Phone calls, back-channel meetings, economic warnings, military drills disguised as training. They labeled Traoré unstable, dangerous, a threat to regional stability. But what they feared was that he was stable, that he knew exactly what he was doing. Because Traoré wasn't playing the old game. He didn't chase loans. He canceled them. He didn't beg for peacekeepers. He expelled them. He didn't parrot foreign policy. He burned the script. Instead, he walked barefoot into villages, sat with elders, and asked one question. What do you need, not what they offer? And that became his doctrine. Build from the roots, not from the top down. Meanwhile, inside French intelligence, a quiet directive emerged. Destabilize without fingerprints. Suddenly, power cuts surged. Grain prices spiked. Fake news about Traoré flooded social media. Anonymous warnings from concerned international watchdogs popped up in Western newspapers. But none of it stuck. Because Traoré wasn't hiding in palaces. He was out in the open. In the dust. With the people. Then came the real test. A leaked cable exposed a plan. If Burkina Faso didn't return to cooperative economic alignment, foreign assets would be frozen, funding pulled, sanctions prepared. But when the press asked Traoré for comment, he simply smiled. If the price of freedom is sanctions, then let them come. And they did. But so did something else. A wave of youth-led protests, not against Traoré, but in support of him. From Mali to Niger, from Togo to Benin, chants rose like wildfire. No to neo-colonialism. Africa for Africans. We are not your colony. The world expected him to fall. When France pulled financial ties and Western media predicted Burkina Faso's collapse, the global elite smirked in silence. No aid, no trade, no fuel. To them, Ibrahim Traoré was just another idealist, young, loud, and doomed. But what they didn't see was that sanctions weren't the end. They were the beginning. Because Traoré had already prepared. Months before the first embargo, he launched what insiders now call the parallel plan. A decentralized economy, shielded from foreign chokeholds. Grain networks rebuilt from village to village. Fuel production retooled with local engineers. Power grids rerouted through solar hubs across forgotten towns. No IMF. No World Bank. No permission slips. Just hands. And memory. Burkina Faso, once mocked as a dependent state, became a lab of survival. And then of something more. In the capital, a team of young coders, many trained underground, deployed a mobile currency system independent of the West's SWIFT network. No middlemen. No foreign banks. No surveillance. In Bobo Dioulasso, women-led cooperatives transformed cotton waste into thermal bricks. Fuel efficient. Dirt cheap. Unstoppable. And in a defiant twist, Traoré opened trade talks, not with France, but with Cuba, Venezuela, Iran, and Brazil. His message was simple. If you respect us, we'll respect you. If not, don't knock. The Western media didn't know how to spin it. They ran stories calling him anti-globalist. But the footage showed clinics reopening, roads rebuilt, children in school uniforms again. No flashy skyscrapers. Just dignity rising. And across Africa, something even louder was rising. Because Traoré didn't just resist sanctions. He turned them into a strategy. While they tried to starve his country, he fed it with fire. And from that fire, a question began echoing across the continent. If Burkina Faso can break free, why can't we? At first, global media laughed. Dismissed it as a phase. Called Traoré a populist with a shelf life. But as time passed, the headlines shifted. African bloc rejects IMF deal. West African forces train without U.S. oversight. Burkina Faso's homegrown infrastructure model gains interest. And suddenly, what had been ignored was now being watched. The CIA filed a report warning. Burkina Faso's leadership model, if replicated, could drastically shift post-colonial alliances. In Brussels, a leaked EU memo read, "A unified Sahelian force poses strategic vulnerabilities to European energy and trade corridors." And in Paris, a think tank report didn't mince words. The African dominoes are falling. And Traoré was the first push. So the West tried what it always does. Sanctions. Cyber interference. Disinformation campaigns. But this time, none of it stuck. Because the people weren't just watching. They were participating. Women in Ouagadougou formed cooperative farms. Teens in Niger built micro-wind turbines. Retired soldiers in Guinea trained youth militias in self-defense and local law enforcement. Every act was contribution. Every effort became resistance. And Traoré? He didn't tell them what to do. He told them what they could be. He once said in a speech, untelevised, only heard through village loudspeakers, "Africa doesn't need a king. It needs its children to remember they were never slaves, only stolen." That line wasn't posted on CNN. But it was painted on walls, carved into school desks, etched into memory. Then came the twist no one expected. South American envoys visited Ouagadougou quietly. So did Southeast Asian delegates. Whispers of a non-Western global alliance began floating, independent of NATO, BRICS, or the UN. A new global South. One not based on charity, but on equity. And standing quietly at the edge of it all, was a young soldier, with mud on his boots and a mother's scarf in his pocket. In the beginning they laughed. Then they watched. Now they panic. Because this wasn't just about Ibrahim Traoré. It was about something far more dangerous than a man. It was about an idea whose time had come. An idea that no bullet could stop. No sanction could starve. No narrative could drown. The West thought it was dealing with a phase. But they were witnessing a shift.